it's Nikki Doorday, Mediation Philosophy. So I want to discuss briefly in this video. So philosophy is really important when you're doing any energy work. So psychic, mediumship, energy healing, all of these things require you to have a baseline philosophy. Now, obviously that changes, that evolves, but really it often tends to, you have to find it. It becomes solid. It's, unlike certain divination tools like astrology and tarot, for instance, you don't really need to have a strong underpinning philosophy, which you do for energy work, because it permeates everything that you do, and it underpins everything. It's part of that foundation. When you first start developing, a lot of things you believe, your belief system, can be really shocked. Before I used to, if you'd asked me about parallel worlds and different non-physical entities, that haven't been incarnated on Earth and belong to a different part of the universe, I'm a sci-fi fan, but I would have kind of looked at you quizzically. But, all of these things that when you go through, and, especially since I do physical mediumship, it changes the way you view the world, through what lens that you're looking at. And therefore your philosophy changes. So part of your development is actually finding your philosophy, and really it should be different for everybody. Even when I'm teaching people or mentoring people, I never really focus on, I teach people in a very similar way, but actually it's really to get in touch with their own self, their own intuition, their own part of the deity or part of the universe that's internal to those, their own compass. It's really important that people find their own route for me. So I'm only guiding them on how to find those answers. I don't expect them to have the same vision, the same philosophy, because that is very personal, and it's very much up to you. And it's something that changes for the first few years of serious development. And people might say awakening. They can say, to me, all these words, are really about change. So really, when you're developing, you change. You will lose a lot of friends because, you're changing and you're becoming different. And like any change, whether it be through, a marriage or parenthood or a different, experience that you've been through, it means that sometimes others don't understand it. Sometimes they no longer really connect to us. That's okay. Some people are meant to be transient. Some are harder relationships to let go of, but it is for our highest and best at the end. Philosophy, it does end up being very important as you work through, and for the first few years of this change, or this awakening, this change, whatever you want to call it, this transformation, you do question a lot. What are my beliefs versus society's, versus my parents, versus the constructs that were given to me and thrust upon me, versus me finding out, to actually find out who you are. And I love that part of working with people, is because you get to help them find themselves. And sometimes it's not very different from when they started, but I've yet to see somebody who's not changed, who doesn't go through it and come out the other end as being different, because you are kind of unpicking those layers to kind of go back and make sure that you're connected to your intuition, connected to yourself, connected to your soul. And your philosophy does kind of it's something that you have to find. And then once it's pretty solid and you start building your practice up on it, because you do, everyone ends up having an individual practice. Some people do like to follow someone completely, have a complete program, follow those completely. I've never been one of those people. I've always been a slight rebel at heart. And the people I work with don't tend to. They tend to, the people that are brought to me want to find their own path. And I think that's really important. I don't want to parrot to people. And I think it's very important that people find that, because that is where you start trusting yourself. And that reliance on somebody else, whether it be me, other teachers, other gurus or whatever, is really shouldn't be there, because yes, at the beginning you need that support and maybe confirmation later down the line. I'm not saying that anyone's an island, but getting that confidence in yourself is and trust in yourself is really important, and you can only do that as a personal journey, and as you go and you develop and you open up, and your your belief system changes, your philosophy changes, then it kind of becomes this quite solid thing that you can. You can't touch it because it's non-physical, but it feels very solid within yourself. But really, you're just uncovering it. It's been there, and you're putting a modern slant on because you were born with it. You're just discovering it again, and then you're deciding what you want to tweak, and you will continue to evolve. The day you stop learning, or the day I stop learning, I think I'd just rather be dead, because I love to continue to learn, whether it's different modalities or different ways. Sometimes you can have conversations with people doing different modalities of energy work, whether it's psychic work, mediumship work, or other healing work, and you just you're using different terminology, but actually you're really talking about the same thing. That really is often what I would say is your tribe. It's not, your tribe isn't the one that speaks the same language, symbolic or other. It is the ones where you have a similar vision. How you get there is different. How you work together is really important. But philosophy, your own personal philosophy, isn't something that's instant. You can't get it into a book. You can't get it into a book. You can't read about it in a book. You can't pick somebody else's up and make that fit. You have to find it for yourself, and it tends to be a bit here, and actually, this is what interests me. And then there'll be things that come up to challenge that, to see how embedded that is for you, because sometimes we go, yeah, this is what it is, and something comes along and smashes it, and we go, well, maybe it's not, but actually I still think this part is, but I'm going to get rid of that. And there's a lot of that in probably the first couple of years, especially when you've made a conscious effort to, when you're consciously kind of opening up, wanting to develop spiritually. There's a lot of questions you have in your head, and those things will be brought up to see how that fits in, and how robust it is for you. And sometimes it ends up chipping a little bit off, and we go, oh, okay, yes, I need to rebuild that in a way that suits myself. And you can constantly learning that. So don't think and don't worry if you're finding yourself going from pillar to post a little bit with what you believe, what you don't believe, because the first couple of years it will be like that, and you'll get things that just push you. You're like, whoa, really? And it will just push you to actually expand your view and your experience. And what a lot of the times we have this idea, as I talked about non-physical entities or parallel worlds, we kind of are very much like the earth is the centre. Well, actually, what if it's not? All of these questions come up, especially when you're doing something and you're open to it. Because some people are not open to it. They'll be, actually, no, I only want to know this, this and this. But it limits you. It limits who you can connect to and what you can connect to. So I really recommend you kind of opening up and trying to look at your belief system so it doesn't restrict. And that'll be part. But you don't have to just sit down and go, I'm going to open up this. You just need to go, okay, well, set that intention for yourself. It's like, I want to know what is good for me. I want to explore my belief systems, explore my philosophy, and I want to be conscious in this journey. And you're just really just agreeing to kind of have your eyes opened, and having your view expanded and extended. So really just have a think about what you think about now, what your philosophy is, what's your belief system, and how did that change and how is that changing. Journaling is really important when you're developing as well, just so you can go back and view it. And sometimes it's just really on those bad days where you think, oh, I haven't done this, I'm no good at this. You can look back and realise how far you've come. It's really hard when you're in that moment, but actually if you go back, you can see that actually, oh my gosh, I used to believe this, and now I'm here. And sometimes that's all you need to pick yourself up on those days. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know how your philosophy changed and how your belief systems have shaped your practice, because I think it would be very good to share this. Thank you. Bye.